Adelaide's 7 News Early Edition with Mike Smithson starts now.
Hello and welcome to the 7 News Early Edition. The Premier and his Cabinet are in Whyalla for crisis talks amid ongoing concerns about the future of the town's steelworks operations and its owner, Sanjeev Gupta. The government is doing contingency planning for the event of a collapse, with revelations GFG Alliance is drowning in significant debt.
We've just come out of a meeting with workers and unions because they are a useful and powerful source of truth of what is happening on the ground. That was coming through loud and clear, and we're grateful for it.
Everyone's been quite stressed and felt like they're not heard, so today is pretty good that, you know, the workers are able to be heard and for them to actually sit and listen to us.
And we'll have more on this developing story in our main bulletin at 6 o'clock. Traders from Norwood to Adelaide have welcomed the return of the Tour Down Under community ride, saying it'll provide a much-needed economic boost. As Casey Treloar reports, die-hard cyclists are overjoyed, telling 7 News the event should never have been cancelled.
In 94 days' time, at the crack of dawn, the parade here will come alive with thousands of amateur cyclists preparing to take part in the Adelaide Epic Ride.
It means the famous Tour Down Under community ride is back. Setting off from Norwood, the course will wind through the Adelaide Hills and finish at Adelaide, where the pub there is already planning a big celebration. It's the same course as the men's Stage 3, so a chance to pull on the lycra and pedal like the pros.
I've loved cycling for so long, and I'd love to see the possibility that the community can get out and do it for themselves as well.
This is special, riding on the race route, riding under the arch, starting and finishing in the same place that the pros do.
There was a hiatus of the event after COVID. It was brought back last year, then cancelled this year due to dwindling numbers and high costs. But the cycling community begged for its return, so organisers are expecting a big crowd to make it worth their while. You can make it as easy or as difficult as you like, with a 20, 80 or a gruelling 120-kilometre distance to choose from.
And to minimise the hassle for motorists, organisers say the event won't have anywhere near as many road closures as previous years.
A truck driver was forced to stop his B-double on the south-eastern freeway today in busy traffic, fearing his rig was about to burst into flames. He noticed smoke billowing from the engine bay near the Crafers exit just after 9:30. Fire crews discovered the smoke was caused by a fuel leak, but luckily it didn't ignite. A P-plate driver's been stripped of her licence and had her car impounded after a shocking case of high-range drink driving in Davern Park. The 36-year-old blew more than 6 times the legal limit for a fully licensed driver. Police say she was trying to change a popped tyre when patrols arrived at the scene yesterday morning. Australia's drinking water is set to get an overhaul with new safe limits thresholds for cancer-linked chemicals in tap water set to be announced. The National Health and Medical Research Council will lower available and allowable levels of 3 types of PFAS forever chemicals. The changes will force a major clean-up of our drinking water supplies after the US introduced the world's most rigorous drinking water standards in April. The King and Queen have just touched down in the nation's capital on the next day of their royal tour. Annie Pullard talks us through the arrival at Canberra Airport.
Oh, what a spectacular welcome. There you have King Charles in quite a dapper navy suit, Queen Camilla in a beautiful white dress that is almost sparkling in this Canberra sunshine. As you heard there, the school children letting out a big cheer as their majesties stepped off. You can see quite a large security presence now on the tarmac. We know that the New South Wales Police Force has been working with the UK Royalists and Specialist Protection Team for many months to make sure everything goes to plan. During this royal tour, there you have the King and Queen making their way over to some dignitaries on the tarmac, meeting now with Auntie Serena Williams, who is expected to conduct that welcome to country and smoking ceremony. An incredible moment there here in Canberra. We've just seen a royal salute from servicemen and women in the crowd here. We've still got school children now just literally looking on in awe. I don't think they can quite believe their eyes that this is happening in front of them, waving those Australian flags. They haven't really put them down since they first arrived here, and police very much keeping a controlled eye on everything happening around them. The world's media are right now in focus, getting that shot of the King and Queen there, clearly taking their time. And this is one thing that we have seen their Majesties do over the last couple of days, is not rush anything. It almost seems like every interaction they have with someone, they make it important. They take the time, they put in the energy, so it does leave a lasting impression. As what we can expect over the next few minutes, we can expect to see the King and Queen meet with Australia's Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles, and then they should be making their way over to this waiting crowd. Just looking over at the gates, obviously not everyone is fortunate enough to be on the tarmac right now. There's many members of the public that have turned out, that are peering through the fence as we speak. Servicemen and women also standing by. Everyone's got their phones out, rolling, of course. It didn't happen if you don't capture a picture of it.
And of course, no royal visit to Canberra would be complete without a round of political meetings. Mark Riley reports from Parliament House.
Indeed, Mike, the King and Queen will be greeted by a 21-gun salute outside Parliament here and attend a reception inside hosted by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, including federal and state politicians, representatives from the King's many charities and patronages, and leading figures from industry, sport and the arts, with speeches by the Prime Minister, Opposition Leader Peter Dutton and the King. It'll be interesting to hear if he continues the theme from New South Wales Parliament yesterday, really an ode to the enduring power of democracy and the need for our Westminster system to evolve to remain relevant to the times. The royal couple will then greet the public outside here, already hundreds waiting for them on their way to Government House, where the King will have private audiences with Mr Albanese, their third on this trip, and his first with Mr Dutton. Queen Camilla will join a discussion on family and domestic violence hosted by Governor-General Sam Mostyn and a panel including Rosie Batty, before visits to the CSIRO and Botanic Gardens. On the issue of a republic, it really is the one topic not being discussed, at least not here. There's much more interest in the British media than in ours. There's no real enthusiasm in government for another referendum, that's for sure, particularly after the abject failure of The Voice. Those predictions about the death of Queen Elizabeth, that it would enliven the Republic movement, have really come to naught. There's nothing but overwhelming goodwill for their Majesties on their visit here to Canberra. Mike.
Thanks, Riles, and we'll have a complete live coverage of the Royals tour right after the early edition. Qantas workers are a step closer to receiving compensation following the unlawful sacking of staff during the COVID-19 pandemic. As Amelia Brace reports, the court has handed down its decision.
Well, good morning, Mike. The federal court has just handed down its decision, ruling that every Qantas worker who was sacked is entitled to between $30,000 and $100,000 each for hardship and distress. And if you extrapolate those numbers and apply them to the 1,700 ground crew who were fired, the Transport Workers Union says it estimates the airline will be forced to pay out about $100 million in compensation.
What a day this is. This is finally the day for justice for 1,700 workers who did nothing wrong and who were illegally sacked by that despicable Joyce-led regime.
And it has been a long fight for these workers, but unfortunately it's not over yet. Both Qantas and the Transport Workers Union have now been sent to mediation to settle on that final amount. It means they will have to go through each of those former employees to work out what is fair and what they are entitled to. So you can appreciate that that will take some time. In the meantime, the Transport Workers Union already has plans to return to court, saying that it will take on Qantas once again, this time seeking punitive damages, or in other words, a significant fine or penalty. Mike.
Thanks, Amelia. More than 80 people have been killed in an Israeli airstrike on northern Gaza. The multi-storey building and a number of houses hit. As Joel Dry reports, the continuing attacks have dimmed any hope of a ceasefire.
Any hopes that the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar would bring about an easing of this conflict situation in Gaza have been dashed over recent days, with, if anything, an increase in the number of Israeli strikes, particularly in the northern part of Gaza. And today we saw one hit an entire apartment building, levelling it to the ground. The health ministry, Hamas-led health ministry, says the death toll now stands at 87, but they say it could be worse. They simply are not able to get to all the bodies under the rubble. Israel claims it was a precision strike to take out a Hamas command and control centre. A similar story to the north, an increase of attacks in Lebanon, particularly in the capital, Beirut. And we are expecting tonight another wave of Israeli strikes, this time not targeting military installations or direct Hezbollah strongholds, but financial institutions. Banks may be bombed, banks that Israel says fund and support the Hamas terrorist organisation. So it seems we are a long way off of getting all parties to the negotiation table to perhaps one day bring about a peace deal.
A peak-hour crash between a bus and a car has caused traffic headaches for commuters earlier. That story's right after the break. Plus, Donald Trump works the deep fryer and drive-through window at a McDonald's as the election edges closer. And a music icon inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame after 60 years. Welcome back to 7's Early Edition, live from Adelaide. Now, Botanic Garden has been looking lovely and green on this hot spring day, heading for a top of 30 degrees in the city. Right now, 28 degrees, and I'll have more on the weather a little later. South Road commuters faced a half an hour delay today for their run into work this morning after a bus crash. A car collided with the bus near Flinders Drive just after 7:30, throwing traffic into chaos. The damage was minor and no one was injured, but it took emergency crews an hour to clean up. Donald Trump has surprised customers at a McDonald's in the US by turning up to cook and serve at the drive-through window. As Tim Lester reports, he used the visit to question his rival's work history.
For months, Democrat candidate Kamala Harris has pitched herself as the product of humble beginnings and her rival as the result of lifelong privilege.
If you don't mind, I want to work the French fry counter.
Now, to win a second term, he's using the Golden Arches to go after Kamala Harris, to claim Harris fabricated a modest start in life when she said she worked at McDonald's 40 years ago.
In other words, she's lying, Kamala. Look at that, look at that, how are you? Thank you, Mr. President. Nice to see you, hi darling, how are you?
Trump also talking up the size of the crowd in battleground state Pennsylvania, turning out to see him, as Kamala Harris visited a Baptist church in Georgia. The Vice President turning 60 today.
What kind of country do we want to live in? A country of chaos, fear, and hate, or a country of freedom, compassion, and justice?
16 days from Election Day today, and the average of major opinion polls here still suggests it's way too close to predict an election winner.
One person is dead after torrential rain in Italy sparked widespread flooding. Several regions in the northern parts and central of the country have been inundated, leaving residents trapped and several towns completely underwater. The heavy rains caused several rivers to burst their banks. Firefighters have rescued more than 300 people, with several towns and villages evacuated. Pope Francis has declared 14 new saints of the Roman Catholic Church during a ceremony at the Vatican. Among those canonised were the 11 martyrs of Damascus, a group of Franciscan friars killed in Syria in 1860 for refusing to renounce their faith and convert to Islam. Thousands of Catholic pilgrims gathered in St Peter's Square to witness the ceremony. Cher has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, celebrating a 60-year career. She was introduced by goddess of pop Zendaya. Cher hit the stage performing two of her top hits, one which saw Dua Lipa join the legend.
Do you believe in love after love? I can feel something inside me say, I really
Cher joked about her overdue induction, saying it was easier getting divorced from two men than it was to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The breaks. An Aussie farmer has caught a hilarious moment on dashcam while driving on her property in rural Queensland. Wendy Sheehan was going about her day when this happened.
The leaves on a mulga tree are really, look out, you unit, watch out for the wildlife.
Look at it go, a rogue emu raced out in front of her ute before zipping away into the scrub. Wendy is going viral online for her hilarious and very calm reaction, just as well. Still to come on 7 News, sport with Josh Money as the Power prepares to make some tough list calls. And the Crows continue to fly high in the AFLW.
Port Adelaide has been widely criticised for its trade return for two-time All-Australian Dan Houston. The defender joined Collingwood with 3 years still remaining on his deal at Alberton. Port received pick 13 in return, along with some other later picks.
I cannot believe what Port Adelaide have done. Allowing Dan Houston to go, one of their most valuable players, probably their best defender, and they allow him to walk. What do they get back? I mean, Ken Hinkley would be furious.
The Power will announce its delistings today with up to 4 players facing the axe. The Crows are into third on the AFLW ladder after thrashing Collingwood in Melbourne. Adelaide held the Pies to just 2 goals, coasting to a comfortable 43-point win.
Superb. I haven't had that all season. Chance for Levy on the run, slots it through. She's got 3.
Big test to come. The Crows face ladder leaders North Melbourne on Friday. New Zealand has won the Women's T20 World Cup for the very first time, defeating South Africa by 32 runs in the final in Dubai. The White Ferns went into the tournament on a 10-match losing streak.
This team is so special, and I think after that first game we thought that we could achieve something special, and we're bloody standing here right now, world champs. Woohoo!
And loving it, the long-awaited triumph comes after defeats in the 2009 and 2010 finals. Liverpool are 1 point clear at the top of the Premier League table following a 2-1 win over Chelsea at Anfield. Mohamed Salah bagged one from the penalty spot, then set up Curtis Jones for the winner. Meanwhile, reigning champion Lando Norris's hopes of a maiden Formula One world title continue to fade, starting from pole at the US Grand Prix in Texas. The McLaren driver lost the lead at the first corner.
Lando Norris gets forced wide, through goes the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc from 4th to 1st.
Charles Leclerc went on to win, leading home Carlos Sainz for a Ferrari 1-2. Max Verstappen finished 3rd, extending his lead in the World Championship to 57 points. Norris was 3rd across the line but dropped to 4th when he copped a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Oscar Piastri was 5th. Fresh from winning his 2nd Everest, star jockey Craig Williams has set his sights on Cox Plate glory with fan favourite Mr Brightside. Williams is still on a high after piloting star mare Bella Nipotina. The victory at Randwick on Saturday. He says the $20 million sprint has got everyone talking.
I remember leaving the hotel, being at the airport. The hostess on Qantas even gave me a mention when they landed in Melbourne. It's quite phenomenal how big this event has gone.
Williams is out to win his 3rd Cox Plate. The Everest is just continuing to grow. Amazing what $20 million can do for you, Smither.
Doesn't get any bigger than getting mentioned on the flight.
No. It's as big as it gets.
Except if you've been a bad boy, then it's not good getting mentioned at all. Thanks for that, Josh. Well, we had a cooler start to the day, but it's set to warm up this afternoon. I'll have more details right after the break.
Ron, so many of these Israeli communities along the Gaza border are deserted.
The team that never stops. 7 News. Unstoppable.
Britain's ugliest dog has been nominated for a Fido Award, the canine equivalent of an Oscar. Peggy the Puggies made her film debut in Dogpaw alongside Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman in this year's smash hit Deadpool and Wolverine. Peggy is a cross between a pug and a Chinese crested dog. No doubt she has everything crossed, even her eyes, in the hope of winning a Fido. Good luck. Taking a look at the weather now, and we're expecting a mostly sunny day today. It'll reach a lovely warm top of 30 degrees. A similar day across the state, sunny and up to 37 in Coober Pedy, a top of 40 in Ceduna. 33 in Port Pirie, 30 in Clare, a sunny 31 in the Riverland, and cloud clearing in Mount Gambier, 26 degrees there. Strong wind warnings in place for the far upper and lower west coast, and extreme fire danger warnings also been issued for the west coast. Around the country, mostly sunny and 25 in Melbourne, sunny and 24 in Canberra, windy and cloudy in Sydney, 21, and cloud clearing in Brisbane, partly cloudy in Perth. Back home, we've got a partly cloudy day in store for tomorrow. It'll reach 25 degrees in the city, 21 degrees on Wednesday, 20 Thursday, 21 Friday and 26 on Saturday, and a shower or two on Sunday and 27 degrees. That's all from 7 Adelaide's early edition. Rosanna and Will return at 6. Don't forget our royal coverage starting very shortly, but from the team, bye for now.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.